Greetings, this is Charles Darwin. On this YouTube channel recently there was a guest appearance by Noah, and he had the unwelcome task of having to fit all of the species of animals onto the ark, and he had to fit them on 2 by 2. Well, that sounded like a very big job, but how much greater of a job it would have been if he had had to save from drowning in the flood the genetic diversity of the animals. Not just 2 of each species, but if he saved 3, 4, 5, 6 of each species, or more, in order to preserve the genetic diversity in the populations. Genetic diversity is essential for natural selection to operate upon, because if natural selection is going to occur, there has to be something to select. If all of the animals in the population are genetically identical, there's nothing to choose from. Natural selection has no choices. Evolution cannot occur. But not to worry. All natural populations of plants, animals, protists, fungi, protists, all of them have genetic variation of DNA in them. However, this would not be true if the only genetic variation that was saved, at least in the animals, from the flood, was that which was saved in just 2 organisms of each species. That's not enough. So that's one of the ways that we know that the story of Noah and the Ark is not scientifically accurate. Not that it was ever intended to be a scientifically accurate story. It was a story. Now, so what? What does that matter? Most of you who are watching this already knew that. But actually, there is an important lesson we can learn from that. And that is that genetic variation is essential for the survival of species. If we're going to save endangered species, we can't just save 2 of them. We have to save a population of them that contains genetic variation. Not only that, but genetic variation is essential for artificial selection as well. That is, the breeding of livestock animals and the breeding of crop plants. If we're going to preserve our crop species, we can't just save a small number of the best or most productive crop plants. We have to save a great amount of genetic variation of those crop plants. And the main reason is because we have to have genetic variation in the event that a new disease comes along. And then we'll have the genes stored away that we would be able to use for breeding resistant strains, new resistant strains of those particular crops. Now, the U.S. Department of Agriculture knows this, and agriculture groups all over the world know this, and they're saving lots of different varieties of seeds of the major crop plants. There are also private organizations that are saving a lot of genetic diversity of seeds of the lesser-known garden plants all over the world. Many of these strains are becoming extinct because they are not as productive as the modern types of crops. And so the farmers, and this is understandable, when somebody comes along and says, "Here, plant these seeds, these are better, get rid of your old varieties." Well, the farmers do that, and they find, yes, in fact, the new varieties produce more food. What would you do if you were a poor farmer? But then they literally eat the old seeds rather than planting them, and they eat the DNA of those old seeds, and it's gone forever. Unless, that is, we preserve the diversity of those seeds, and that's a very important thing to do. Now, if that didn't matter, if you could save a species by just having 2 of each kind going onto an ark, then it wouldn't really matter about saving genetic diversity. But genetic diversity is essential for the survival of any species, whether it's of wild animals, or whether it's of livestock, or whether it's of crops. That's what this shirt is about. It's from one of the private organizations that's passing seeds, not just 1 or 2, but a whole bunch of genetically different seeds from one generation to the next. And that's one of the things, one of the lessons of evolution that is absolutely essential for the long-term survival of human agriculture and therefore of the human species. This is Charles Darwin. Tally-ho, and amen.